We need to talk. You see, we know what you've been doing. Wait, before you try to say anything, let us finish. Let's be clear, it's definitely you, not us. We know you have been watching Dad's Talk Tech without subscribing. And before you try to deny it, we have proof. YouTube told us over 75% of you have been doing this. But you can redeem yourselves. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button. It looks like this. While you're at it, why don't you go ahead and hit that like button and we'll forget this ever happened.
Keith, you were going to open up the episode. Everyone's waiting. What are you doing?
Oh, well, didn't you hear Lily and Addie? I need to subscribe. You better open up the show while I take care of that.
Oh, I thought you did that a while ago. Okay then. Well, welcome to the channel and welcome to episode 15. If you're new here, I'm Bruce and I'm joined by Keith and Nessa from Michigan.
Okay, all subscribed and I liked the video while I was at it.
How did you like a video we're still recording? Wait, don't tell me. Strange things seem to happen up there. I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah, I think that's probably for the best. So as we record, we are still following the official social distancing rules. Maybe you can't tell, but Nessa and I actually are 6 feet apart. And hopefully this video finds everybody safe and well.
Absolutely. And the good news for our channel is we've pretty much always followed the social distancing rules as we record in 2 different locations, Michigan and Nebraska. Now the exception to that would be episode 8 where we filmed on location in Illinois. And like episode 8, we're actually going to do something a little bit different today.
So Bruce, you've really caught my attention here when you said we're going to do something a little bit different. I have not read ahead in the script here, so now I'm very curious. You want to let me in on this?
Well, I better, or this episode's going nowhere fast. Today, we're going to discuss our next cameras.
Interesting. So, is this one of those pie-in-the-sky deals where anything's on the table, or are we talking about a more realistic thing, you know, something that we might actually pull the trigger on, you know, like today?
That's a great question. I really wanted to focus, see what I did there, on something that's either released now or that'll be released sometime in 2020.
Oh, geez. We're only like 2 pages into the script and you're already throwing the puns out there. So anyway, I do think those are pretty reasonable ground rules. So why don't we get started? Why don't you start us off?
I can do that. And Keith, I have to say that with my choice, I'm finally going to be joining your camp.
Really? You're going to purchase a Sony? Wow. Which model?
Oh, I'm not changing brands. I'm actually joining you finally in the mirrorless arena.
Unbelievable. I know you probably just said it that way to lead me to believe that you were actually going to change brands.
Yes, I did.
Okay, fine. You know, but I'm very curious. What kind of Canon mirrorless camera is going to hold a candle to a Sony? You know, Sony has had about a 5-year head start in the mirrorless space.
That is true. Sony was in the mirrorless space far before Canon was. And to be honest with you, the camera that I've selected has really not had more than a development announcement and some leaked rumors and specifications that are initial from Canon.
Well, we're waiting.
Well, we're waiting.
My selection is...
Hey, have I ever told you what an amazing snack Chicks and Sticks is? In fact, I even buy it in the family size, and I don't even share it with my family.
My selection is the Canon EOS R5. 8K video at 30 frames per second, no crop, and internal recording. Dual pixel autofocus available in all video recording modes. 4K at 60 frames per second and 4K at 120 frames per second for super slow motion. Autofocus modes include body, face, and eye detection. Animal body, face, and eye tracking is available for dogs, cats, and birds. It includes a 45 megapixel full-frame CMOS sensor. Now this is rumored. It also has 5-stop IBIS, or in-body image stabilization. That stabilization improves to 7 to 8 stops of stabilization when you couple the IBIS with an IS-equipped EF or RF lens. As well, it has 12 frames per second mechanical and 20 frames per second electronic shutter when shooting stills. And finally, there are dual card slots, a CF Express, and a UHS 2. So Keith, thoughts?
Well, I do have to say that all sounds and looks very impressive. But you mentioned that there was only a development announcement and a kind of a specs release update. How many of these specs do you think are actually real?
That's a great question, Keith. And even as of the time that I wrote the script, and since we've recorded, some of the specs that were initially just rumored have actually been confirmed. Originally, they had published no specs about what type of encoding would be present for the 8K and the 4K video. Those have since been confirmed, and really, I have to say, they're even more impressive than I was expecting. They're going to have H.265 compression for all the video modes, and again, it's all full width. And right now, it's looking like it's going to have a 44.7 megapixel sensor. So for me, being really a true hybrid shooter, both video and photographs, this comes down to being almost the perfect camera for me.
Fair enough. So I suppose it's my turn now. For my selection, it's going to be...
Did you know that Modern Yellow can create an attractive and very functional custom modern website? Modern Yellow can also cover your graphic needs around building that website. As a matter of fact, Modern Yellow designed the DadsTalkTECH logo. We have a link down below in the description so you can contact Dominic at Modern Yellow today.
So my selection would have to be the Sony a6600 or the Alpha 6600 or the Sony a7 III, perhaps. Or maybe the Fujifilm X-T3. You know, the Sony a6600 is, you know, it's tempting. It's an E-mount, as is the a7 III, which, what does that mean? It means that I can keep all of my lenses that I already have, and all of the maybe not all of the accessories, but most of my accessories, so that's tempting. The Sony a7 III is a full frame camera, as opposed to the a6600, which is one of the kind of a APS-C crop sensor, which is what I have now with the a6000. You know, I'm comfortable with it. Also, the Fujifilm X-T3 is also an APS-C sensor. So I don't know. There's a lot that goes into me trying to figure out exactly what I want to do here.
Keith, you do realize that that's not actually making a selection, right?
I do, you know, but it is tough. You know, I've been using Sony for quite a while. I am very used to it. I do like them, you know, but I haven't always been a Sony guy. When the kids were born, my very first digital camera ever was a Fujifilm. It was a FinePix MX700. It was just like a 1 or 2 megapixel camera. But, you know, I really love that camera, and I do have a bit of built-in dad nostalgia around that. But, you know, there are a lot of good cameras to pick from.
Very true. I mean, we could go back and forth about various camera brands that are out there, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of great cameras out there, and they all do a great job these days. Sometimes when you're using a brand, it's easier to maybe stick with that brand for a number of reasons. You touched on one of them, right? The lens collection that maybe you've built up, and familiarity with how the camera operates in the menu systems, being able to get the most out of the camera. So even at the end of the day, if that particular camera isn't the best on the market, it might be the best camera for you as an individual because of your history. However, sometimes you do get the urge to go out and explore what's out there and available in other systems so that you're not missing out on what something else has to offer. So with all of that, I can see why you're torn.
Yeah, right. I mean, ultimately, these are just tools for us to use, right? Now, we use them for this channel. We use these cameras, but you know, we're also using them for our personal use in our family life, right? That creates an entirely different dynamic in terms of, you know, what we need to use the cameras for and, you know, how quickly we can access them and capture the moments that happen very quickly.
Totally agree. And I knew this episode would be on the shorter side when I was putting it together, and we've reached that point where we actually need to start wrapping things up.
Yeah, you know, that was pretty fast. except for the part where you droned on and on about the Canon EOS R5. You know, it seems like somebody has a camera crush.
Once again, thanks for the kind words, Keith.
Anytime. And if we can just get Bruce to edit a little bit faster, we can get a lot more content and episodes out to you.
That is correct. Wait. Keith, did you just say I need to edit faster? Anyway, thanks again for the support and more kind words.
Sure. And as Lily and Addie said back at the very beginning of this episode, please like this episode and subscribe to our channel. Ring that bell, right? It really is free, right? And it does help us get our content in front of more eyeballs.
Until next time, this is Keith and Bruce saying stay safe, stay well, and stay sane.